Hey, welcome back, knife nerds and everyday care people. It's your boy, the Big Canucker, and we have got ourselves a little bit of a video happening here today. Oh man, she has been a wonderful, wonderful summer so far. A little bit of moisture happening here in Lethbridge, but other than that, we've got a sunny shines today. Now, today I'm going to be doing a video. It's a collection of knives, and these are going to be 5 of the knives that I keep in my collection and that I bought specifically for looks. There is no doubt about it. I think these are the best looking knives that I have in my collection, and I also want to do a little bit of a a shout out or a call out or a tag to Patty's potato peelers. So if you see Patty, I'd like to see his 5 best looking knives, or even I guess you want to say maybe the 5 knives that you'll keep inside your collection just for looks, or the 5 knives that you bought specifically for looks. So, all right. I think these here are the 5 best knives that I have in my collection, and the 5 best looking is what I mean. All right, now, before we get to that, if you like what you saw, don't forget to subscribe, as well as give me the thumbs up and leave a comment and share the video if you think that I have earned it. Especially, yes, and I've got my little bit of pride vibes. I've got 2 of these, one I wear every day, and one I've got here because we've got Pride Month. All right, so this is in no particular order, other than the very final knife is going to be the knife that I think is the absolute most best looking. All right, so coming in at number 5, it was a real toss up. This is the Spyderco Birch Chubby, and it is quite a name. The Birch Chubby. This is designed by Michael Phelps. Michael Burch, custom knife maker, and he likes to have these kind of small-handled, large-bladed, thick-bladed knives. I just think this is a great. The one thing you'll notice about all these knives here is they're all a little bit kooky looking. I just think this is an excellent knife, and I specifically bought this because I love the way that it looks. I love that really big, beefy blade on it. I love this double swedge. I love the fact that it's got the 3 little holes here, the titanium. It's got the custom clip. Of course, being a Spyderco, it's got the big spider hole in it. There's not a lot of excess jimping on this. And this is not it's a more practical knife than you give it credit for, because it is such a small blade on here. As far as blade length is 2.3 inches, and I gotta say the edge length is 2.28, but it is probably almost 2 inches wide going this way, and it's just a great little tank that sits inside your pocket. And I'm probably going to end up changing this cord here into maybe the brown leather cord. I've got kind of a what do you call it, a Chris Reeves kind of tie on here, but I am going to be putting on a leather lanyard here pretty soon, because I think it looks a little bit better. But coming in number 5 is Michael Burch. Now, I actually had this Spy Opera. These are the 2 that kind of fought back and forth in my mind. I just love this brown micarta with this domed kind of back spacer on here. This back here is kind of domed. It's just, I think this is a really, really great looking knife. And even though I really don't like this color in anything else, it seems to fit this little Spy Opera. And so those 2 are they fought it out for 5th place. And it just gives me a little bit of a cheat to have an extra knife in there. All right, let's go with the next one. Now we have got here a Spyderco Capara, and you'll see that I'm probably a little bit Spyderco heavy, because Spyderco is kind of my favorite brand knife, although they're not all Spydercos. And of course, here we've got, this is designed by a fella by the name of Alistair Phillips, who is a Australian knife maker. So, Pete down at Centric and Ada's Gear channel, he's probably quite familiar there with Mr. Phillips. And this is designed off a knife called the Redback. And this here is not probably going to do it justice. The carbon fiber on here, I think, is the best looking carbon fiber that I own. I love this carbon fiber, and I love it not just for the looks, but for the fact that it is so smooth. And I don't know what you'd really call this the feel of this. Not only being smooth, but it's a very warm feeling. That's the sensation that I get when I feel this carbon fiber. And it's got a little bit of a kooky back spacer to it, a fully flat ground. Now I ended up putting in a sharpening trail myself. I think that just adds to it. I love the black here, or the red on the back. I know that Alistair's original red back, the red on here is quite a bit brighter. It's a little bit stained, but I love that maroon color, and I love the fact that you've got a couple of stainless steel bolsters here on the back here. I just think it just adds to the look of this knife, and I think that this is number 4 for me. Alrighty here. So moving on, we have got an off make, which is the Case Tribal Lockback in the synthetic. I think it's called Delrin. Basically, it's a synthetic material, and I love these chrome nickel bolsters. I love the the chrome blade on this. I love the kind of the brass liners in here with the chrome. I love the feel of this knife, and this is just a good looking classic knife. And I think this is one of the best, if not the best looking kind of case knife that I own. There is another one that I am going to be putting inside my collection. It is not a White Mountain Knives. It's got some, anyways, hopefully that'll be coming down the road, but I just think this is a great looking case knife. I just noticed that's weird that the case is kind of upside down on there. You'd think it would be this way, but anyways, even the little pins here I think are good looking. They're a brass pin. They go right through the entire thing. They just add to the knife, and this is just a classic knife, and one of my favorites, and I kind of carry it here. I've got a little leather sheath that this and the next knife kind of trade off in. All right, moving on to the next knife that I have. It is a GEC Farm and Field tool. This is the 71 pattern with 1095 carbon steel. This is a bullnose with red linen micarta. And the one thing about this knife here that I'm not 100% sure if every knife does it or just mine, but this was quite a bit brighter red when it first came here, and just over time of use, it seems to have. Oh, there's somebody sending me a text here. I forgot to shut off my phone, and we'll do that. That's just my wife who has landed. All right. Anyways, oh my goodness. Hey, if you're from Canada, especially a town called The Pas, Manitoba, where I grew up, you would hear anyways a lot. All right. I love this kind of solid looking backspacer. GEC, they're a company that started up, I think they're about 10 years ago. They're not very old, and they found all these classic knives, tooling that has been sitting in barns and in all other places, and they brought this patterns back out, and they basically started a knife company using all these old patterns. This happens to be one that was probably originally started, I think, probably in the 30s or 40s, and they just brought it back, and a lot of the stuff that they've brought back to make them now, and using nowadays kind of materials. But 1095 steel, red linen micarta. I love this little bit of a farm. This F&F USA with a couple of stars on this pin here. I just think this is a gorgeous little knife, and it almost looks like the back of a bullet. It's got, of course, this is the only knife that has a lanyard hole that I haven't tied a lanyard on, but one is coming eventually. And now I have these in no particular order, but this, I think, is the absolute best looking knife that I own, and it is the Spyderco Butch Vallatoon Subhilt. I bought this knife specifically because I loved the way that it looked, and unfortunately Butch Vallatoon has passed away. Now, one of the things about these subhilts, and there's also a mini subhilt version, is you can get these turned into an automatic, where you send it off to Butch's his own shop, and he puts a spring in the back, and he puts a trick bolster in there, and the bolster actually clicks this way, and then it flies out. So it is an automatic, but it can also be used as a manual. Now this is not a crazy practical Spyderco to use as kind of an everyday tool. I mean, it's really reminiscent of back in those 50s kind of switchblade look. I love this black G10 that's polished. I love this bolsters, and if you're a fan of something that's well put together, you'll love this. The seams on here are very, very seamless. Just, it's not only the looks of this knife, it's absolutely, the tactile sensations. Because I'm a tactile person, I learn by doing and feeling and touching, and not necessarily by visual or by auditory. And man, oh man, I love this. It's got a couple of exterior stop pins. It's got the big hump. The blade on here is incredibly thick. What is that? I think it's 4 mil thick. Like, it's a thick piece of S30V steel. It is not a fully flat ground. It's a hollow ground blade. So, it's just one of those tools that doesn't cut cardboard like a lightsaber. But I just absolutely love this knife. Now, this knife here is not a fidgeter's dream. It's kind of a hard knife to fidget. I've got it so sharp. I have had this knife bit me a half a dozen times from it fully round. I'm always forever catching the end of my thumb in there. I've cut the end of my thumb meat off of this knife a couple of times because it is so sharp, and it is just a big honking blade. 6.2 ounces. It's not the lightest thing. It's very, very wide here. As far as overall width here, what is it? What is the width of this thing? It's so much thicker than half an inch. I mean, this is almost 3/4 of an inch wide. It's 6.2 ounces. Even the blade is 3.75 inches long. It's just a very big knife, but it is such a gorgeous looking blade. And you know what? I hope you didn't. You don't have to necessarily agree with me. I would love to hear your own best looking knives that you have got down in the description. Now, there are some other knives that people will think that are traditionally bigger, and it's a great thing that we've all got, or sorry, that's would be better looking. But I'm so happy that we've all got different opinions and different tastes, because if we all love the same thing, we'd all be driving the same car, or we'd all be living in the same house. I love the wonderful variety of knives, and I love the wonderful variety of people's opinions, and I definitely want to hear yours in the bottom. And don't forget, Patty out there across the shuck, I want to hear your top five best looking knives. And anybody out there, if you're a YouTuber or not, let's start that trend. Now, I know we had a really good success with the top 5 knives that make you happy, but let's just go with the top best looking knives. We'll call out Metal Complex. We'll call out Nick Shabazz. We'll call out Neve's Knives. Let's find out what your 5 best looking knives that you got out there. So, all right, guys, thanks for stopping by. I sure hope you guys had a great time with me here. If you did, don't forget to subscribe and give me the thumbs up, as well as tell your friends. And please stay safe out there. Keep your stick on the ice. The shining side up. This is the Big Canucker saying adios.